This season, I'm going to a game in every round of the FA Cup, starting with the extra preliminary round and following the winning teams along the same path until I reach the Wembley final in May. My journey started at my local side, Hucknall Town, and has taken me to 5 different grounds across the 6 qualifying rounds. During that time, I've watched Bottisford Town's record-breaking run into the 2nd qualifying round for the first time in their history, then briefly followed Bromsgrove Sporting and Chelmsford City before the qualifying campaign ended at Barnet's Hive Stadium, where they brushed aside their National League South opponents. If you want to check out any of those videos, I'll put the link to my FA Cup Road to Wembley playlist in the description under this video. At the weekend, I made the 4-hour journey down to Devon as I followed my current club of focus, Barnet, down to Exeter City's St James Park, my longest journey so far. I have been down to Exeter on many occasions in the past as I have some family down there, but I hadn't been to see a game at St James Park. And as the first round proper is a special occasion, I bought tickets in their hospitality suite. The first thing I noticed about Exeter City is that they're very active on their social media channels. Every time I had a query, I received a response within a couple of hours, and they were very helpful. Although there's no on-site parking at the football club, they suggested a long-stay car park that was less than 10 minutes walk away, so I had no issues leaving the car as I made my way to the stadium. At the ground, everything's really well signposted, and it's welcoming to away supporters. They'd even put a sign up acknowledging how far Barnet supporters had to travel, which was a nice touch. Exeter City's Heritage Suite hospitality experience started at 12, but I got to the ground just after 11 to give me plenty of time to get some pictures of the outside of the ground and check out their club shop. And it's an excellent club shop, which is well staffed and has so many things to choose from. I wanted to avoid buying a bobble hat or a scarf as I'm racking up a bit of a collection of those already, but my eyes kept coming back to this scarf with the Grecian's crest on it. That's really nice. And opposite the club shop there's a food van that smelled so tempting, but I resisted the urge as I didn't want to spoil the dinner I'd booked in the Heritage Suite. So after I'd explored the outside of the ground, I made my way up to the Heritage Lounge, and I want to talk about the hospitality experience as I feel like Exeter City offer a lot, but at an extremely reasonable price. At £65 per person, you get a 2-course meal pre-match, tea and cookies at half-time, and a Cornish pasty post-match, so you're going to eat well. I'm not sure if the main course varies match to match, but on Saturday we had steak pie with vegetables and mash. I'm usually really picky when it comes to steak, but I had absolutely no complaints here, as the meat was really good quality. As well as the food, you get to hear from some guest speakers before and after the game. The pre-match interviews were with first-team manager Gary Caldwell and defender John Lee Ifeko, who's currently sidelined through injury. And post-match, there's a presentation with the man of the match, which I'll get into a bit later on. Alongside all of that, you get a match programme and a padded VIP seat in the main stand. Considering your match ticket is included in that price, I feel like St James Park's hospitality package is a fantastic deal. Exeter City are supporter-owned, which they proudly advertise around the ground, and they have every right to be proud of what they've achieved here. Having just been relegated to the National League with millions of pounds of debt hanging over them and bankruptcy looking likely, the Supporters Club took over in September 2003 and managed to steer them away from liquidation through various fundraising events, supporter donations and thousands of hours of work from volunteers at the club. And their pride really shines through. There's a real buzz about this club, everything is so well organised and the staff genuinely care about your experience. As someone who's witnessed my own club go bankrupt through mismanagement, I can really appreciate how much of a success story Exeter City is and what their supporters club has achieved. What about the game itself though?
And of course, for Exeter City.
It's League One Exeter City in their red and white home strip, while National League Barnet are in their purple and white away kit. I didn't manage to catch all of the action, but the club were kind enough to let me use this brilliant pitch-side footage. And early on, it looked like this was going to be a routine win for the League One side, as they cut through Barnet's defence with relative ease for Josh McGuinness to put them ahead after 13 minutes. But this game was anything but routine. Exeter did everything they could to take control of this game as they looked for a second goal, but Barnet's defence seemed to sort itself out after the first. And not long before half-time, they got an equaliser, totally against the run of play, with this nice curling effort from Ryan Glover, who'd been outstanding in the last round. And it was 1-1 at half-time. The visitors somewhat fortunate to go into the break level. Exeter City had been extremely well organised at the back, but Barnet took their one chance clinically. It was an entertaining first half, but the second half was breathtaking. Barnet started the second half at a much higher tempo, and they found themselves in front when Zach Brunt's effort deflected past Joe Whitworth and into the bottom corner. My route to Wembley hasn't witnessed any real shocks yet, but was this about to be the first? From that point, it was a desperate game of attack against defence, and I wasn't sure Exeter would find an equaliser, with the time seeming to run down very quickly. But then Danny Collins brought down Dimitri Mitchell in the penalty area, giving them a great chance to equalise. Josh McGuinness, under immense pressure, found the net from the spot to make it 2-2 on 76 minutes, and from then on, chaos followed. Barnet were back in front within 2 minutes as Exeter's defence switched off briefly, which allowed Nick Kabamba to make it 3-2.
Go on.
5 minutes from the end of the 90, Exeter were awarded their second penalty of the game after Ilmari Niskanen was brought down. There were some complaints about that decision, but for me that was a blatant penalty. Let me know in the comments if you feel that was a harsh decision though.
Go on.
Northern Ireland international Josh McGuinness, under even more pressure than before, completed his hat-trick from the penalty spot, and although time was running out, it felt like this game wasn't finished. And with extra time looking likely, what a save this was from Nick Hayes with the score at 3-3. But deep into stoppage time, Jay Bird was sent through one-on-one with Hayes in the Barnet goal, and despite slipping as he attempted to go round the keeper, he somehow managed to steer the ball into the net. I've watched this one several times now, and I still can't work out how this managed to find its way in, but a goal's a goal, and then it was Barnet who had to find an equaliser. With seconds remaining, Barnet won a corner, and they sent everyone up, including their goalkeeper.
Yeah, the keeper's going up. He wasn't injured. Oh no. God.
And after a bit of a goalmouth scramble, Exeter cleared and Kamari Doyle found himself with an open goal, which he found from 30 yards with the defenders catching up on him. And that finished off a crazy game of football. Final score, Exeter City 5, Barnet 3. Will I see a better game than that en route to Wembley Stadium? I'm not so sure, but I'm looking forward to finding out. The attendance was 4,244 and man of the match was Exeter's hat-trick hero Josh McGuinness, who gave a post-match interview in the Heritage Lounge, and I even managed to get my picture taken with him. Considering it was still only 2-1 to Barnet on 76 minutes, that was a crazy finish to the game, but I think the result was fair. Exeter City were well organised and stuck to their game plan despite the setbacks, while Barnet are devastatingly clinical going forward. This was a proper cup tie. As this was the first time I've sampled matchday hospitality on this journey, it would be a little unfair to compare this experience to all the previous rounds, but I loved everything about my visit to St James Park. There's a real buzz around the ground, and during the game the atmosphere was great too. As a Hereford fan who witnessed the brilliance of Adam Stansfield, who sadly passed away in 2010, I really appreciated the tributes to him around the ground, and the fans still sing his name all these years later. That's a lovely touch. What a great tribute. So, as was the case with Bromsgrove Sporting and Chelmsford City, my time with Barnet was brief, and I have to say goodbye to them. But I wouldn't be surprised to see them return to the Football League this season. They're building a really competitive squad, and I've seen how dangerous they are going forward. They might need to sort that defence out though. As for Exeter City, well, I'll be adopting them until they exit the competition, and the second round draw was made on Sunday.
Exeter City.
So I'll be returning to St James Park on November the 30th as they host Chesterfield, in a tie that would have been some 200 miles closer to home had it been the other way round. I have no problem with returning to Exeter though. They certainly made the 4-hour journey worthwhile, and while Chesterfield will be a tough test, this is another winnable tie with a potentially huge trip to a Premier League club looming for whoever wins it. Lastly, I just want to say thank you to Exeter City, not only for allowing me to use their footage in my video, but for such a brilliant matchday experience. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel, and why not check out the FA Cup qualifying compilation I made a couple of weeks ago. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at St James Park in a few weeks' time.
Exeter City.